The iPhone 7 is one of the most controversial iPhones ever. Because of courage. That's what they said when they removed the headphone jack, which caused a lot of backlash. That aside, the iPhone 7 was an amazing device when it launched. But how does it stand in 2020? Let's find out. The iPhone 7 is made of glass and aluminum. If we look at the front, the iPhone 7 is identical to the 6 and 6S. It has a large forehead and chin, which houses the home button. Also in the back it looks very similar compared to its predecessors. As you can see, it has scratches all over its body, but I used this phone a lot and overall it held up very good. The build quality is still great and it still feels very premium. The iPhone 7 has a 4.7-inch LCD display. Compared to 2020 standards, it will feel very small for most of the people. It has good colors and it is very bright outdoors, but it isn't that sharp and it doesn't even compare with mid-range smartphones that have OLED displays. There are still, however, many people that like small smartphones. This is the reason why Apple is planning to launch a new smartphone with the same design and screen size. The iPhone 7 is powered by the Apple A10 Fusion chip. It was the best chip on the market when it launched and it is still very good in 2020. It can still run heavy games like PUBG Mobile without any problems. The only barrier would be its small screen size. This phone can handle perfectly things like calling or social media. A downside, however, would be its 2 GB of RAM. Also, the base storage is only 32 GB, which is not enough for 2020 standards. The iPhone 7 runs iOS 13 perfectly and will be supported for at least 2 more years. It has also dark mode, but because it has an LCD panel, it isn't very useful. On the back of the iPhone 7 you'll find a single 12-megapixel camera. Pictures taken from this camera are still very sharp and have great colors. In some cases, it can even compete with phones that came during 2019. But you can't do portrait shots with this phone. It does also lack an ultra-wide camera and the night mode feature. It can shoot videos up to 4K at 30 frames per second. iPhones are known for good video recording, and the iPhone 7 is no exception. It has good stabilization and the colors are very natural. On the front it has a 7-megapixel camera. In daylight, pictures taken with this camera are sharp and faces are well exposed. In low light, however, it becomes almost unusable. Take a look at these samples I took with the iPhone 7 and judge for yourself. Like mentioned earlier, the iPhone 7 is the first iPhone to drop the headphone jack. That aside, the quality of the sound from the lightning port is still very good. It is also the first iPhone to feature stereo speakers, which is often overlooked because of the jack. The iPhone 7 has a 1960 mAh battery and will never last you through a day. I never replaced the battery on this phone and as you can see, it did lose a lot of health. Besides the wireless charging, the iPhone 7 has a lot of special features. It has a Touch ID home button and stereo speakers. It does also have a 3D touch display, which got removed from the iPhone 11 Pro. It is also the first iPhone to be IP67 water and dust resistant. The iPhone 7 launched with a price of $650. Now, however, you can find it much cheaper, around $200. But is it worth for $200? Well, It depends. If you want a cheap iOS device, then get it. It can still do a lot of things, you just have to be worried because of the mediocre battery. You should also consider it as a secondary phone. If you like small phones and don't want to spend a lot of money for a new one, I would say wait one more month and see if the upcoming iPhone 9 will match your expectations. If you did enjoy this video, a thumbs up would be appreciated. Thank you for watching.